The lights of Manhattan were already a blistering constellation by early December, battling the thin, weak sunlight. For Cassidy Thorne, the pop singer whose face graced every billboard in Times Square, a face currently stylized in a serene, snow-kissed glow for her new holiday album, Starlight Still, the winter was less about comfort and more about survival. She lived under a constant, crushing weight, the celebrity spotlight, a beam so hot it melted the boundaries between her private self and the public idol. Cassidy was 32, famous since 17, and profoundly lonely. Her emotional wound, a sharp shard of glass she carried beneath the skin of her professional smile, was 5 years old, dating back to a Christmas Eve spent in a sterile hospital room, a memory she hadn't allowed herself to face fully. Her penthouse apartment, a fortress of white marble and floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking Central Park, was being aggressively Christmased by a team of stylists and designers. Every perfect pine cone, every strand of calibrated gold ribbon, and every flickering candle was documented for her 80 million followers. It was the public spectacle of Christmas as an expectation, a stark contrast to the hollow ache in her chest. "The mistletoe needs to be higher, Darla. We need the shot to look aspirational, not available," ordered Vivian Reed, Cassidy's manager. Vivian desired absolute control and lacked empathy, treating Cassidy's life like a high-stakes financial instrument, especially during the holidays, peak season for celebrity income and vulnerability. "It's too much, Viv," Cassidy murmured, rubbing the tension from her temples. She was exhausted. The pressure to maintain the image of the flawless, joyous Christmas queen was suffocating. Vivian gave her a look that could curdle eggnog. "Nonsense. The Starlight Still Christmas Gala is 3 weeks away. It's the centerpiece of the charity drive. We are raising $3 million for children's arts. Cass, look happy, be inspirational. The fans need the fantasy, and we need the press." Cassidy retreated to her inner sanctum, a soundproof recording studio tucked away behind a fake wall of platinum records. She stared at a small, tarnished silver bell tucked into a velvet box, hidden in her desk drawer. 5 years ago, Christmas Eve. The air in the hospital room was thin and metallic. Outside, the city was hushed by an unexpected heavy snowfall. His hand was cold and still. Beside his bed, on the chrome bedside table, was the small, tarnished silver bell, a cheap ornament she'd given him as a teenager. The doctor's face was grave, his words a muffled roar against the sound of the blizzarding wind. The sound of that bell, rattling slightly when a nurse accidentally bumped the table, became the sound of her trauma, the symbol of her unresolved pain. She quickly closed the drawer. She couldn't afford to feel. Feeling made her vulnerable, and vulnerability in the spotlight was ammunition. Her phone vibrated. A text from Reese Kincaid, the renowned film director who had cast her in his next major project, shifting her career from pure pop to cinematic credibility. He challenged her professionally, artistically, and personally, seeing the Cassidy behind the thorn, a vision she both craved and feared. His desire was authenticity. His flaw was emotional intensity. "Reese, the rehearsal footage for the New Year special is stunning. Just don't forget to breathe, Cass. You look like you're trying to carry the world. You shouldn't have to carry it alone." His message was a tiny flickering light in her darkening holiday, but then the alarm on her phone shrieked, a breaking news notification. The headline from page 60, the industry's most toxic tabloid, screamed, "Pop Princess Thorne caught in Christmas cheat scandal. Alleged photos with married director Kincaid." The accompanying image was blurry, taken through a fogged-up restaurant window, showing Cassidy and Reese leaning in close over a candlelit dinner. Innocuous, perhaps, but the damage was immediate. Comments spiraled, trending hashtags, #CassidyCheat, #ReeseRuin, #StarlightStillBroken. Cassidy looked up at the perfect public Christmas tree in her living room. It was now just a towering, mocking symbol of the chaos that was about to consume her. The immediate aftermath was a deafening siren of panic. The fandom, once a source of strength, was dividing violently. "Idiot! Reese is married! Separated, yes, but legally married!" Vivian roared into her phone as she paced Cassidy's living room, trampling over discarded velvet bows. "The public doesn't understand nuance, Cassidy. They see Christmas queen, married director, betrayal. You've just torpedoed the charitable goodwill for the gala. Do you know how much that costs us?" Cassidy stared blankly at the glass ornaments on the lower branches of the tree, seeing a shattered reflection of her own face. The innocent dinner with Reese discussing a script was now twisted into a lurid professional killing affair. Reese called her, his voice low and gravelly. "Don't say anything to them, Cass. Don't apologize for living your life. I'm giving my official statement. It was a business dinner, nothing more. They're just trying to counsel you to sell papers." "They're winning, Reese," Cassidy whispered. "The headlines are already comparing me to my mother." Her mother, a famous 80s actress, had been destroyed by a Christmas scandal involving infidelity and substance abuse, which had indirectly led to the accident that put her father in the hospital and ultimately killed him. A lifeline appeared in the form of Sasha Petrova, Cassidy's longtime stylist and creative director. She was warm, pragmatic, and the only person Cassidy trusted entirely. Her own Christmas turmoil was the recent quiet loss of her older sister. Sasha arrived, bypassing Vivian's fury, and immediately started packing a small, discreet bag. "We're leaving, Cass. Not a PR move, a sanity move. We're leaving to my cabin upstate. No signal, just snow and quiet. Vivian, you deal with the PR storm. We'll be back for the gala, but Cassidy needs to find her ground first." Vivian sputtered. "Fine, but you'll be on the phone every 3 hours for approved quotes, and no photos of Cassidy looking sad. We need resilient." Before they left, Sasha handed Cassidy a small, beautifully wrapped parcel, a simple, handmade ceramic mug with a quote etched into the bottom. "Breathe in the quiet, darling. The noise is just echo." This isn't about the media, Cass. This is about not letting the ghost of your mother's past become your future. Use the quiet. Don't let them break the ornament of your own life. The cabin was nestled deep in the Catskills, surrounded by ancient pines dusted with snow. The silence was profound, broken only by the crackle of a wood fire. For 2 days, Cassidy stared out the fogged window, watching the endless snowfall. The quiet amplified her inner turmoil. They always win. The spotlight, the fans, the tabloids. They build you up as a perfect shining thing, a delicate Christmas bauble, and then they wait for the drop. They want the shatter. I thought if I was good enough, perfect enough, if I sang the songs right and smiled wide enough, they would spare me. They would spare me the ending my mother got. And Reese, I pulled him into it. I'm the disaster waiting to happen, and he walked right into my orbit. I love the way he looks at me, not as Thorn, but as Cassidy. But love in this world is just another weapon the media uses. Maybe Vivian is right. Maybe I should just stick to the image and stop fighting for the human underneath. Reese found her on the 3rd day. He hiked in, dusted with snow, looking rugged and determined. Cassidy's heart ached with fear and relief. "How did you find me?" she asked, letting him into the warmth. "I know, Sasha, and I know you, Cassidy. You always run to the quiet when the noise gets too loud." He sat by the fire, saying, "I gave my statement today. I was clear. I told them to back off. They tried to dig up dirt on my separation. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Lena, is furious and talking to the press." That evening, Reese put on the old cabin record player, a scratchy vinyl of Nat King Cole singing a melancholy Christmas tune. He took her hand, pulling her to the window. "Look, Cass, the snow. It covers the dirt. It makes the world clean, even if it's just for a minute.
That's what this time of year is supposed to be, a pause, a chance for rebirth. He stood with her, shoulder to shoulder, watching the snowfall. It was a moment of profound, quiet healing, but Cassidy knew the quiet was temporary.
2 weeks later, Cassidy was back in New York. The Starlight Still Gala was 2 days away. Vivian had pivoted the narrative from affair to artistic collaboration, but toxicity lingered. Vivian had increased security and media access, making the gala a high-stakes bid for forgiveness. The new headline is Cassidy Thorne uses her pain for good, Vivian dictated. But we need to address the fans. The toxic fandom is killing your organic reach. Cassidy recorded a heavily scripted video, a plea for understanding that felt like betrayal. At the rehearsal venue, a grand concert hall dressed in white lights and towering trees, Cassidy encountered Lena Kincaid, Reese's soon-to-be ex-wife. Lena was stunning, brittle, and vengeful, invited by Vivian for optics and leverage. Lena approached while Cassidy practiced a piano piece about her hospital trauma. "The song is beautiful, Cassidy, so dramatic, just like you pop stars, always mining pain for content." "Lena, I didn't expect to see you here." "I want to see how Reese looks at you, but do you really know him? Do you know why he hates Christmas? It's what happened 3 years ago, the night he drove his own brother to the hospital after a holiday party argument. A very loud, very ugly argument. The revelation struck like a blow. Reese had a Christmas trauma too. It explained his hesitation during the scandal. "History is never ancient at Christmas," Lena purred. "It's why you're still talking about your father 5 years later, isn't it? It's why you wear that pathetic little bell necklace when you think no one is watching." Lena had seen the bell, Cassidy's secret, exposed, her trauma weaponized. The concert hall's decorations now felt grotesque, too large, too bright, mocking her private sadness. Strings of blinding white lights dangled from the ceiling, glittering off towering Christmas trees, amplifying the suffocation. Cassidy sat at the grand piano, fingers hovering over the keys, trying to focus on the piece she'd composed about the hospital memory 5 years ago. But Lena's words echoed. He hates Christmas because of what happened to his brother. The hall doors burst open and Reese stormed in, his coat still dusted with snow from the storm outside. His face was taut, eyes scanning the empty space before landing on Cassidy. He rushed to her, boots echoing on the polished wood floor. "Cass, what's wrong?" Reese asked, his voice low and urgent. He dropped to one knee beside the piano, his hand gently touching hers. Cassidy looked up, her eyes red from held-back tears. She pushed the sheet music aside, its scribbled notes of pain and loss now fragile under the lights. She said you drove your brother to the hospital 3 years ago, after a Christmas fight. Reese, I told you about my father, about that Christmas Eve in the hospital. I opened up completely, and yet you kept the truth from me. We're standing on the edge of a full media execution, and you're still choosing secrets?" Reese's face hardened, anguish and shame flashing across it. He stood, pacing a few steps away, raking a hand through his tousled hair. The vast hall seemed to shrink, leaving just the two of them amid a sea of artificial light. "It's true, Cass." His voice cracked, each word dragged from the depths. "My brother, Ethan, was drinking heavily then. We had a horrific fight, not physical, but the words. They were more toxic than fists. I attacked his career, his wife, how he was destroying himself. He stormed out, jumped in his car, and 10 minutes later, the crash. His car flipped on icy roads. For 2 hours, Cass, I thought I'd killed my own brother. On Christmas Eve." He turned away, staring at a nearby tree where glass ornaments sparkled like frozen tears. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to see me as the villain. I hate media judgment because I am flawed. I'm capable of that kind of cruel toxicity. I was terrified you'd see the truth behind the acclaimed director and walk away." Cassidy rose, her heart aching from the raw truth. She stepped closer but didn't touch him. I don't care about the accident. I care about the lie, the secrecy. The moment I started trusting you, you withheld the one truth that connects us, our shared Christmas pain. How can we face a paparazzi ambush if we can't even trust each other in private? Right then, the hall's lights, set to celebratory, blinding white, began flickering violently. The entire stage plunged into terrifying darkness for several seconds, the hum of backup generators echoing. Cassidy gasped, clutching Reese's hand, her breath catching. Then the lights stabilized, but the air had shifted. It was clear foreshadowing the emotional stability of their relationship, now as fragile as those strings of bulbs. "We can't keep doing this, Cassidy," whispered, her voice trembling. "This Christmas it will destroy us if we're not honest." Reese pulled her into an embrace, but it carried heavy hesitation. Outside the windows, snow fell thicker, blanketing the city in white, a reminder that no matter the cover, the wounds remained, waiting to be exposed. While Cassidy and Reese wrestled with their private betrayal, media and fandom pressure exploded. A fanatic fan account, known for toxic devotion to Cassidy's past, released a sophisticated malicious viral edit. It overlaid her scripted PR apology with old paparazzi clips of her mother's public meltdown, using deep fake tech to twist her words into a confession about the Reese scandal. Hashtag shifted, hashtag like mother like daughter, hashtag Christmas hypocrite, hashtag Thorne legacy of lies. Social media erupted. The once supportive fandom split. One side fiercely defended Cassidy, the other, led by fans loyal to her perfect Christmas queen image, called for her destruction. Comments flooded. "She's 100% her mother, fake from start to finish. Cancel Starlight still, now." Vivian, unable to control the digital storm, panicked truly. She burst into a strategy meeting in Cassidy's penthouse, screens displaying real-time trending hashtags. "They're canceling you, Cass. This is the end. The gala is dead. Sponsors are pulling out. We have to address the mother issue, turn it into a powerful resilience narrative." "No," Cassidy said, her voice cold and steady, drawing strength from Reese's truth for the first time. She stood by the window, gazing at snow-covered Central Park, where families strolled carefree. "I won't use my mother's pain to sell albums. That's exactly what killed her. And it's what you tried to force me to do 5 years ago, Viv, after my father." 5 years ago? Cassidy, I was the one who tipped off Page 60 about your father's accident. It was the only way to bury the canceled European tour story. I framed it as tragedy strikes pop princess. It bought us 6 months of good press, and sympathy album sales skyrocketed. You were too grief-stricken to notice. The air went dead silent. Cassidy's stomach churned, the room's pine and cinnamon scent turned rancid. She staggered back, gripping the sofa for support. You sold my pain? The greatest pain of my life to save my career?" Her voice broke, not in sobs, but pure rage. "You're not my protector, Viv. You're a monster in manager's clothing." "I saved your career, Cassidy, and I'd do it again. But now we need a new strategy, or you lose everything." She turned away, leaving Cassidy alone with the spreading horror, realizing her greatest enemy wasn't the media, but the closest person to her. Sasha, who had been quietly managing the chaos, intervened immediately. She pulled Cassidy from the toxic scene to a nearby quiet church, the only place where lights felt gentle, not demanding. The church hosted a children's choir rehearsal, pure voices echoing through old wooden pews. The children's untrained singing of "O Holy Night" hit Cassidy like a shock. She leaned against a cold stone pillar, listening, tears falling silently. The public persona is a prison. I let Vivian define me, the perfect Christmas queen. But light doesn't come from the stage. It comes from silence, from small things. The tarnished silver bell. The real trauma wasn't the media firestorm. It was my failure to be there for my father when he needed me most before the accident. Fame's noise made me deaf to his quiet sadness, and now I'm doing the same to Reese. As the carol ended, Sasha looked at her. "You need to tell your truth, Cass. Not Vivian's, not the fans. Yours."
Wear the silver bell tonight. That night alone, Cassidy decided to fight back, not with a PR statement, but a raw, unexpected act. She recorded an unedited video on her phone, setting the stage for the climax.
Cassidy's unedited video, titled The Weight of the Bell, dropped from Sasha's plain apartment. Makeupless, voice shaking but steady. I am not the Christmas queen. I am Cassidy Thorne, carrying a 5-year-old trauma from a Christmas Eve hospital room and my father's death. I have let my manager manipulate my grief. Yes, Reese Kincaid and I are together, and yes, we share broken histories with this season. I love him, and I choose honesty about that love, even if it costs my career. She held up the tarnished silver bell. This is the only Christmas item I've kept for 5 years. It symbolized my failure to be human. But tonight it becomes a symbol of my choice to be real. I'm canceling the Starlight Still Gala. All funds go to charity, but the performance is off. I'm done performing my life for profit. The internet exploded. Toxic fandom, tabloids, and Vivian melted down in coordination. Hashtag Cassidy Unplugged instantly overtook cancel tags. Vivian called, screaming, "You just destroyed everything! You're finished, Cassidy!" Despite the cancellation, aggressive paparazzi descended on the deserted concert hall, drawn by the drama. Reese met Cassidy in the grand foyer, still magnificently decorated but eerily silent. A single string of lights above the entrance had burned out, flickering as a reminder of broken symbolism. "You're here," Reese said, relief flooding his face. "I had to face the ghosts in this building. I'm done running." Lena suddenly appeared, having tipped off the paparazzi. Flashbulbs erupted in a blinding wave, forcing Cassidy and Reese to shield their eyes. Lena stepped forward, icy malice in an extravagant gown. "You canceled the charity event to save your skin. You're a coward. Tell them about the night you stood by and let your father ruin his life, just like your mother did. You're all toxic." Reese stepped into the white-hot glare, pulling Cassidy close. "You want the truth? Christmas drama?" he shouted over the cameras. "The truth is, we're two broken people who found each other. Cassidy is the most honest, decent person I know, and I won't let you crucify her for seeking happiness. Lena, you use others' pain because you can't face your own. We're leaving. Merry Christmas, you monsters. Find some integrity for the new year." He shielded her physically, and they pushed through the crowd, escaping the ruined gala and media frenzy. Cassidy cried, not from fear, but shattering relief as Reese chose her and truth over his public image. Christmas Day was silent at Sasha's apartment. Public reaction remained splintered. Media frenzy raged, but for the first time, Cassidy didn't read the headlines. She sat by the window, watching the city awaken under pristine new snow, the final mandatory symbol. Reese arrived carrying a beautifully carved wooden star. Not silver, not flawless, just warm wood. "For our first real Christmas," he said, placing it in her hand. "It's imperfect, handmade, real. We'll heal, Cass, not by hiding flaws, but by being honest about them." Cassidy looked at the wooden star, then the silver bell, now on a simple chain around her neck. Shame and trauma lingered, but no longer weapons. They were scars, proof of survival. They spent the day with no calls, no cameras, no PR, just quiet conversation and distant church bells. Cassidy's public image fractured, yes, but her private self was whole. Vivian resigned, citing creative differences. Lena's moment faded, overshadowed by the genuine emotional power of Cassidy and Reese's confession. Cassidy faced her deepest fear, public judgment, and survived, free from performing perfection. That evening, as city lights came on, a single notification appeared on Cassidy's phone. Not from a tabloid, but an unknown number. "Your father would be proud of the woman you became. Thank you for showing us the real light. A former patient." It was a final, quiet message, a letter in a stocking, a thread of forgiveness and connection, confirming her father's memory was not just pain, but hope.
Cassidy gazed at the snow-covered skyline, glittering lights no longer taunting, but promising. The world's noise hummed distantly, unable to touch her anymore. She squeezed the wooden star and smiled. A true, unperformed smile. The stage was shattered, lights dimmed, but for the first time in 5 years, the star she followed was her own. Vivian, despite fury at Cassidy's self-sabotage, was a master of disaster capitalism. She couldn't control Cassidy's emotions, but could spin the cancellation narrative. Within 12 hours of the video, her agency issued a statement framing it not as a meltdown, but a deeply personal artistic choice prioritizing mental health over commercial performance in the sensitive holiday season. "It's a pivot, Cassidy," Vivian hissed over a secure video call, her face a mask of furious composure. "We're selling vulnerability now. You're not the queen, you're the martyr. But we need a distraction for the Reese issue. The separation story is weak. We need a love triangle." The plan reintroduced Julian Thorpe, Cassidy's rival ex-singer, into public discourse, manufacturing conflict to distract from the Reese scandal's severity. Media devoured it. Within the hour, headlines shifted. Thorne's heartbreak, Kincaid versus Thorpe. Which director will she spend Christmas with? Cassidy watched trending hashtags, the public's manufactured investment in her pain, with detached horror. Celebrity culture's toxicity wasn't just hate comments, it was the relentless, dehumanizing demand for entertainment even at her sanity's cost. "Julian's perfect for this, Cass," Vivian explained with a predator's smile. "He's dropping a Christmas single. We'll stage a chance encounter at the Rockefeller tree lighting ceremony. No words, just a long, soulful look. The public loves the toxic ex trying to win her back narrative." Cassidy refused. The strength from her confession was non-negotiable. "I'm not seeing Julian. He represents everything I'm escaping." "Then you'll lose Reese," Vivian countered chillingly. "Lena Kincaid is a wild card. She's leaking rumors about Reese's past projects, not the brother, but professional betrayals that'll cost him financing. Julian is the only one with enough counter-influence to fight her, and he's willing if you give him the optics." The reality of Reese's professional peril, fueled by Lena's revenge, forced Cassidy into a dreadful compromise. She wouldn't meet Julian, but wouldn't publicly deny the triangle rumors, giving him space to manipulate the press narrative. A temporary, soul-crushing alliance with the antagonist. Sasha Petrova, the loyal friend, grew increasingly strained under relentless pressure. Her own Christmas turmoil was the anniversary of her sister's death, tied to family tradition. Sasha's clear desire was to protect Cassidy, but her flaw was sacrificing her psychological well-being to manage Cassidy's life. Sasha's apartment, a brief sanctuary post-canceled gala, felt cold despite the heat. She tried arranging a small private Christmas dinner for Cassidy, Reese, and herself, a moment of family expectations stripped of celebrity artifice. Unpacking her sentimental ornaments, her hands trembled. She pulled out a beautiful, fragile glass bird, a gift from her late sister. Holding it, the past year's weight, frantic travel, Vivian's endless demands, constant anxiety over Cassidy, snapped her composure. Her hands shook, the bird slipped. It shattered on the hardwood floor, a sharp, scattering sound. A Christmas scene reflecting chaos. Sasha sank to her knees, staring at the iridescent fragments. The broken ornament physically manifested her breaking point. She hadn't grieved her sister. She'd styled, shielded, managed. Monologue, Sasha. "This is what the spotlight does to everything near it. It makes it too hot, too fragile until it breaks. I try to protect Cassidy, but I'm just sweeping up pieces of my own life. This Christmas was supposed to reclaim my light, the light my sister embodied. Instead, I'm orchestrating lies for Vivian and holding together a woman fighting an entire industry. I need to be loyal to myself, but the moment I step away, Cassidy loses her only true anchor. My loyalty is killing me." Cassidy found her there, amid glittering debris, crying silently. It was a raw, shared vulnerability. "Sasha, I'm so sorry," Cassidy whispered, kneeling beside her. "I didn't realize how much of my chaos you've been carrying." "The bird was my sister's favorite," Sasha managed, tears tracing through faint makeup. It symbolized the spirit of flight, freedom to choose your path. Now it's just shattered glass. Cassidy helped sweep the fragments carefully. "We'll get a new one. Or maybe," she said, eyeing the pieces, "we realized the light was never in the glass. It's in the memory. We can't glue the past back, Sasha, but we can stop letting it cut us." This moment was a crucial small reversal. Cassidy, the one being rescued, reached out, offering Sasha her own psychological healing path, strengthening their bond. Driven by Lena's hint and the need for deeper trust in Reese, Cassidy sought the truth about Reese's brother Ethan and the accident 3 Christmases ago. She couldn't heal if her partner hid painful truth. Her investigation led to a small, almost forgotten city hospital tied to her father's memory and likely Reese's brother's accident. The hospital was subdued, but Christmas elements deeply unsettling: small, lonely wreaths on sterile doors, the hum of life support, faint pine scent battling antiseptic. It mirrored loneliness in celebration times.
To fulfill pre-booked commitments, Cassidy and Reese attended a high-profile charity Christmas concert in Miami, a celebrity escape resort disguised as philanthropy. Tropical air, white sand bizarrely contrasted their emotional winter. Celebrity drama was immediate. Julian Thorpe was there too, strategically booked at the same resort. Paparazzi swarmed, snapping Julian looking solicitous and heartbroken, feeding the love triangle narrative. Lena Kincaid, the wild card, made her move. She cornered Cassidy at a lavish outdoor bar, garnished with excessive plastic snowflake Christmas cocktails. "Julian and I had a nice chat, Cassidy," Lena purred, stirring her drink. "He knows Reese's weakness, the one that broke his brother, and I know yours, the desperate need to be loved, no matter the cost." Lena handed Cassidy an antique photograph, clearly taken 5 years ago. It was faded, grainy. A young man, Cassidy's father, before a modest Christmas tree holding the tarnished silver bell. But the man with his arm around her father wasn't Reese. It was Julian Thorpe. "Julian and your father were friends. They worked a small music deal together right before your father's accident. Julian was supposed to come to your house on Christmas Eve to sign final papers. He canceled, last minute. A betrayal your father never recovered from. Julian knows the real pain that silver bell represents, Cassidy. He was part of that memory. He was there at the beginning, and he'll be there at your end." This profound revelation tied the antagonist directly to Cassidy's core trauma, making conflict infinitely personal. Julian's presence wasn't just PR, it was a ghost from her past. Cassidy stared at the photo, her world tilted. Julian wasn't just professional rival, he was woven into her most painful Christmas memory, the trauma she thought was hers alone. The revelation of Julian's hidden connection to her father's past led to the mandatory, heartbreaking Christmas confrontation between Cassidy and Reese. It wasn't loud or shouting, it was cold, precise, agonizingly quiet in the sterile silence of their opulent, lonely penthouse suite. "You asked why I didn't trust you," Cassidy said, holding out the photograph, voice barely a whisper. "You said you didn't tell me about Ethan because you feared the truth being weaponized. But this is the difference between us, Reese. I was running from my ghost, but Julian is yours. And you didn't tell me he knew my father too." Reese looked at the photo, jaw tight. "I didn't know, Cass, I swear. Julian and I have always been enemies. I knew he was close with my brother Ethan, but I didn't know he had a connection to your family. He must have hidden it to use later. He's always been manipulative." "But he's part of the trauma, Reese. The betrayal this season is woven into him, just like it's woven into us. Why didn't Julian sign those capers? Why did he cancel on my father? Was it about money, Reese? Always about fame?" She realized the truth in her question. Both Reese and Julian, in different ways, prioritized their advancement over a family on that particular Christmas Eve. They were two sides of the same destructive coin, Glamour's shadow. "I don't know, Reese," Cassidy admitted, sinking to the cold marble floor. "But I can't fight anymore. My brother Ethan is back in New York for Christmas. He's booked a small, terrible gig on Christmas Eve. He wants to talk, face the trauma. I have to go to him. I can't protect you from Julian's manipulations and save my relationship with my brother at the same time." "Then don't," Cassidy said, tears finally falling, silent and hot. Go to him. Choose your family trauma over mine, because I need to find the truth about Julian and my father myself. This love, it's too heavy, Reese, built on shared secrets and half-truths. It's not strong enough to survive this Christmas. The room's air, filled with fake holiday cheer scent, grew suffocating. Reese watched her, guilt and abandonment fear warring fiercely. "Don't push me away, Cassidy," he pleaded. "I'm not pushing. I'm giving us both freedom to face our demons alone. Go to your brother. I'll face Julian. That's our separation. That's our heartbreak." Reese left, vanishing into the cold and different city. Cassidy remained alone in the luxury penthouse suite, surrounded by excessive, mocking Christmas decorations. Loneliness and celebration time cut acute. 2 days before Christmas Eve, emotional toll immense. Cassidy temporarily retreated to Sasha's small, quiet apartment, escaping paparazzi circling her penthouse. Sasha, recognizing Cassidy's need for an anchor, produced the mandatory, symbolic gift with deep emotional meaning. "It came for you," she said, handing Cassidy a plain manila envelope, heavily postmarked. Not from Vivian or PR, from a quiet address, upstate New York. Inside, a single, brittle, aged sheet music, the first draft of the Christmas song her father worked on 5 years ago, the one Reese heard him play just before the accident, titled simply, "The Minor Chord of December." Pages heavily annotated in her father's handwriting, in one margin, faded ink, a note shattering Cassidy's long-held accident narrative. "Julian refused the deal, said my music wasn't cinematic enough. He wants the star, not the substance. I just wanted to leave a legacy for my daughter. I'm such a failure. I need to apologize to Cass for pushing her into the spotlight for the wrong reasons." Profound revelation. Cassidy believed her father died thinking she betrayed him by choosing fame. Now she knew he sought to apologize to her. Julian's betrayal was twofold, of his friend Ethan and her father. Core trauma shifted, not abandonment, but a desperate final desire for connection missed. With her father's love truth finally in hand, Cassidy found courage to pursue Julian. She knew he'd be at a trendy, exclusive Christmas pop-up bar near the Bowery, where celebrities went to be seen, not celebrate. She went alone, no security, in an anonymous coat. She found him in the back alley, smoking, away from flashbulbs. Air bitterly cold, light, beautiful snowfall beginning, the required touching winter moment involving snow and lights, heavily tinged with melancholic tension. Julian looked up, surprised and unnerved. "Cassidy, this is cinematic." "Did you ruin my father's career, Julian?" she asked, voice calm, emotionless. "Did you cancel the deal the night he died?" Julian's swagger evaporated. He looked vulnerable, charismatic antagonist facade cracking. "Yes, I killed the deal, but it was Viv's idea. She said his music was too depressing for your brand. She paid me to walk away. She's always controlled your narrative, even then." Final, devastating puzzle piece. Vivian, the antagonist, manipulated Cassidy's life from the start, using Julian as a tool. Julian's monologue. "I wanted to be the star, Cass. I hated living in your shadow. But I never hated your father. I regret that night more than anything. I was afraid of Vivian, afraid of my own failure. That's my cross to bear this Christmas." As he finished, a soft, familiar sound drifted down the alley. A street musician on acoustic guitar singing a slow, old version of Silent Night, the song haunting Cassidy from Trauma Night. Touching winter moment. Cassidy stood in quiet snow listening. This time, the music didn't bring antiseptic smell or breaking glass. It brought her father's hopeful smile, scribbling notes on sheet music. The song, once trauma trigger, now balm, symbol of forgiveness possibility, not for Julian, but herself, for believing the worst of her past. "Silence is louder than your fame, Julian," Cassidy said, leaving him alone in falling snow. "That's the difference. I choose silence." Reese had left to meet brother Ethan in a small, quiet bar. Cassidy, finally free of antagonist and manager, but media public pressure character, prepared final devastating move. Major scandal escalation. Julian, in final narcissistic desperation, decided to take Cassidy down after confrontation. He leaked trove of highly personal old communications between himself and Cassidy, framing their entire relationship, including her time with former fiancé, as toxic and manipulative, implying she was a serial cheater. Real damage. Short, private voice recording of Cassidy from 5 years ago, taken days after father's death. In it, she sounds utterly broken. "I should have stayed. I chose fame, and now he's gone. I wish I was anyone but Cassidy Thorne. I wish I could vanish." Clip labeled #Christmas Cry for Help went instantly viral on Christmas Eve as city settled into holiday silence. Ultimate private wound invasion, her deepest vulnerable moment weaponized. Vivian, now desperate, losing all control, saw final opportunity. She booked Cassidy's slot on biggest Christmas morning talk show, a live broadcast meltdown setup, for desperate final apology. Cassidy knew it was trap, forced pain performance, but she realized her last chance to reclaim narrative. She had to face public judgment head on, not with a lie, but raw, painful truth. Stage set for Christmas Day confrontation. Christmas morning dawned brutally bright, unforgiving. Cassidy driven to TV studio, corporate office setting, for a live broadcast. Studio adorned with fake garish Christmas trees, cheap tinsel, the epitome of public expectation versus private wounds. Vivian, ecstatic despite imminent career crash. "This is theater, Cass. High-stakes drama they crave. Cry on cue. Apologize. Pivot to resilience. We're selling the comeback." Reese nowhere seen, still with brother. Necessary separation underscoring abandonment fear she faced alone. Broadcast started. Host, media veteran, sympathetic but ruthless, immediately played viral leaked audio. "Cassidy, that recording, 5 years ago, after the tragedy. Do you still wish you could vanish?" Cassidy looked into camera, not host, not Vivian, but directly at millions watching. Media public pressure personified. Cassidy, the confessional interview. Vanish? Yes, every celebrity wishes to vanish sometime. Because spotlight isn't light, it's a furnace. It burns away identity layers until you're just product. 5 years ago, I felt responsible for my father's death because I chose fame over him. I let my manager, my antagonist, weaponize my tragedy for profit. And I let Julian Thorpe, who helped that manager betray my father, use me for his ambition. I'm here today not to apologize for my humanity, but for the years I lied to you and myself to maintain beautiful, toxic facade. The drama you're watching, scandal, love triangle, it's all theater. But truth isn't performance. Truth is silence afterward. I choose silence. I choose trauma. I choose my own forgiveness. Then final bold move. Cassidy pulled small tarnished silver bell from undercoat, holding it for the cameras. "This is my only remaining ornament. It's tarnished, cheap, tied to every painful life memory. It's not flawless, but it's mine. I won't sell it, perform it, apologize for it anymore. I'm done with this stage. My career as you know it is over." Major emotional explosion. Vivian lunged, grabbing for the microphone, screaming, "Cut the feed, that's not the script." Host, in genuine human reaction moment, blocked Vivian. Camera captured the entire chaotic, unscripted moment. Antagonist revealed real time, truth exposed in live broadcast meltdown. Raw feed went viral instantly. Backstage amid studio chaos, sudden familiar figure, Ethan Kincaid, Reese's brother. He looked at Cassidy, not blame, but tired respect. "You chose honesty over spotlight. Reese told me everything about your father, Julian, my demo record. He's outside, waiting for you." Reese outside under fake, brightly lit studio marquee. Previous night's snow left white dusting on city streets. "I heard it all, Cass," Reese said, approaching. "I chose Ethan, admitted my betrayal, and we forgave each other.
Now I choose you. I realized my greatest fear wasn't losing public image, it was losing chance to be honest with the person who finally saw me. Confession that changes everything. I love you, Cassidy, but I won't ask you to sacrifice healing for me. I'm leaving this city, focusing on small independent films, away from the Hollywood machine. Fame is broken, drama over, but if you want to leave the wreckage with me, I'm here. Cassidy looked at him. Love interest who faced his shadow, chose authenticity over glamour. The silver bell and wooden star, Cassidy said, touching tarnished ornament on her chain. Both imperfect, both real. I'm done with the spotlight, Reese. I choose quiet. They walked away from the studio, from screaming headlines and flashing cameras, disappearing into Christmas Day Street, finding solace in the cold air and shared profound relief of being truly seen. 1 month later, consequences clear. Vivian's career irreparably damaged. Julian, internet pariah, intense cancel culture backlash target. Cassidy Thorne, pop star, officially dormant, vanished entirely from social media. Cassidy and Reese live quietly in a small seaside house, far from celebrity resorts and penthouses. Reese writing a new script, quiet character-driven film. Cassidy doing what she hadn't allowed in years, simply writing music, not for an album, but for herself. Rediscovering art free from celebrity culture toxicity. Sasha, loyal friend, found her own healing, opened a small private styling business focused ethical, sustainable fashion, away from high-pressure celebrity scene. She and Sasha talked often, bond stronger than ever, rooted in shared survival over professional obligation. Quiet winter night. Cassidy in a small, peaceful studio. Only Christmas decoration allowed. The wooden star Reese gave her, on a high shelf. She finished the final chord, a quiet ballad about truth found in the wreckage. Looked out window. Small town's main street lights, strung haphazardly, imperfectly, began turning off for the night. All the lights flickered and died, except one. The light inside the tiny wooden 5-pointed star on her shelf. The light turning on, or remaining on. Final steady relit Christmas light symbolizes enduring quiet hope, when blinding stage lights finally out. She no longer feared silence, winter, or the sound of a bell, spending Christmas alone, yet emotionally free. Stage shattered, city silent, 1,000 flashing camera wounds finally fading, proving the brightest star shines not for the world, but the soul you dare to trust.